Hey guys, welcome to another HO scale video here. My previous video, I was showing off some new cars and engines that I acquired. I've got a few new acquisitions that I also wanted to show you from the same place that I bought some of these HO scale things. This was from Joe's train station, but instead of trains, I actually bought a few Hot Wheels. Two from the 90s and two from the 60s. The 90s cars are a Ferrari and BMW, while the 60s cars are a Corvette and Mustang. Well, this one's actually Matchbox instead of Hot Wheels, but you can see here, they actually accidentally labeled it as 1982, or maybe that's the year Matchbox created this car. You can tell it's a 1962 though, because it has the same rear end that the C2s would have from 1963 to 1967, but the front end itself is still the same as what you would see on some of the older Corvettes between 1958 and 1960, and also the 61. Yeah, I just noticed you even have a little bit of a Corvette lettering on the front there. I just noticed that. Really cool. Yeah, I like this one very much. I mean, I don't usually care much for pink, but it looks nice with the blue. And this, of course, is one of Ford's most iconic cars of all time. Doesn't tell you what year this was built. It only says made in China. My assumption is, considering how popular the first gens were for 1965, I'd say that's the year that this is supposed to be. But hey, we're here for trains, right? So let's get all four of these cars loaded onto a gondola, which I just so happen to have right here. Now, unfortunately, I can't fit all the cars in there. The Corvette's a bit too wide, and the BMW will not fit between the Ferrari and Mustang, so we'll just grab a flat car and put the other two cars on there. My only concern with this is if I run the train too fast, the cars might fall off over the edge. I don't know exactly how fast it would have to be for that to occur, so I'm just gonna be careful and maybe add a few extra cars here and there to try and decrease the speed. We'll put on two box cars, and we'll just say that they're carrying parts for all four of the cars, and maybe some tank cars for gasoline, and maybe a couple of other cars just for the hell of it. Rosie was the closest engine to one of the cars I put on the train, so I figured, why not have her have the honors of pulling this? We have two box cars carrying spare parts for the Ferrari, Mustang, Corvette, BMW, a shell tanker for carrying fuel for the cars, and a few extra cars at the rear not involved with the four cars on our gondola and flat car. The caboose has also been added because, you know, it's a freight train. You gotta have a caboose. I doubt Rosie ever worked on the Erie Lackawanna, but I like the scheme that they had on these cabooses, and I like the Erie Lackawanna in general, so I figured, why not get a caboose with these colors? I might also get a few others from the Pennsylvania Railroad, New York Central, Penn Central, and I think also the Rock Island. But it all depends on what's available and what's not available and what liveries I can find, so we'll see what happens. The Rock Island especially I would like, because I love the lettering that they had on the 60s and 70s when it was red and yellow and you had those big bold letters and italics. Very nice looking. It would be nice if the Rock Island was still with us today, but unfortunately it went bankrupt in 1980. Now, it's time to get back to the controls and watch Rosie pull her freight. Now, there might be a section or two where Rosie's motor were cut out on certain parts of the track, But with a little bit of a push, she will get going again. Let's begin. Oh, forgot this was one section, but we'll get her going eventually. I didn't think it was going to be this challenging. I have had Rosie pull a few heavier trains here and there, but we just got to keep trying. There we go. She's finally doing it. Sort of. I did a few test runs here and there, and she is eventually going to stop on that curve there. I don't know what it is with that curve. Maybe I got to get it replaced with newer track, but every engine always seems to stop there. Maybe it depends on which direction they're going, because I had Duck going backwards on there, and he didn't stop at all. But when he was going in the same direction like Rosie, he did stop there. And on the other curve on the other side of the straight. Now she made it this far. I know she can make it loop around the entire track at least once. Maybe a couple times. We'll see. Oh, not like that. Wait, Rosie, you forgot your train. We're almost on the move. Just another dead section to go across here. But hey, one good thing about all these frequent stops is that the cars are still intact. I mean, they're not exactly where I left them, but at least they didn't fall off. Now, we must be going slightly downhill, because every time I push the Corvette towards the BMW, it rolls back towards the gondola. So hopefully Rosie can still pull the train. There might be a little bit more wheel slip here and there, but at least things will be a little easier. Or maybe more easier. We'll find out. No wheel slip this time. That's good. Still have to go through another dead section. Or maybe I didn't place Rosie on the rails properly. I just noticed she was going sideways before getting onto the curve, and now I noticed that some of her wheels are not on the rails. Let's fix that. And now hopefully we can get things rolling again. Oh, it happened again. I guess that's one downside of having different couplers, but hey, you get it to work, that's the important part. I have, however, considered getting more Thomas & Friends rolling stock, a few coaches here and there, maybe some flat cars and tankers. I know I'm going to get a few vans here and there, and I would like a flatbed as well, along with a few extra loads. But tankers would also be nice too. They're my favorite form of rolling stock. Now hopefully Rosie can continue her run without any more difficulty. So far so good. Only problem is she stopped once again. We'll try using less power this time and gradually increase the throttle when the wheels stop slipping. Like right now would probably be a good time. Or I thought it was. There we go. And we'll have Rosie stop here so we can get all the cars unloaded, remove the flat car, and replace the Mustang and Ferrari with a different load. Now, of course, this isn't a realistic way to remove a piece of rolling stock from a train, but I was planning on putting it on this second loop of track once I'm done with that. Now, I originally had it built so there would be two crossover sections. The line from this loop would cross over here before the curves, go parallel to this straightaway, and then go left while crossing over the line once again. But unfortunately, neither of the controllers I had would get enough juice into the rails. So I figured this time I would try doing it separately without any crossover sections. But now that we've stopped here, we got the cars and flat car off the train. We can put these cars here, and then we'll get the dominoes loaded from here into the gondola. This could either be easier for Rosie since there are fewer cars, or harder since the load might be heavier. We're just going to have to wait and see. Well, so far so good. And once again, we came to a stop. We should probably turn this from red to green, though. This is a old-fashioned signal that I really like operating, if I can keep it in place. There we go. Highball for Rosie. Either this is cursed or I stopped at a bad place, because Rosie can't seem to get going again. Well, I guess there's only one option. Go backwards and try again. Alright. Well, not alright. But hey, at least we got it going until we got to the dead section. And now we're underway at high speed. I knew Rosie could do it. She may be a little engine, but she's definitely tough. Let's give her a well-deserved break and move on to a different engine. A week has passed since we ran Rosie and her freight train, and I got another freight ready here with my 4501, a Mahano Mikado. I did another test run prior to recording, and this thing actually went around the entire loop of track without stalling. And I think that's because I just finished cleaning every inch of track. This thing was originally given to me in 2016 to clean my N-scale tracks, but I also used this to clean the HO layout as well. And it seems to have done what it was supposed to do. All the track is getting proper voltage, and 4501 is ready to pull her train. Let's get some electricity flowing and watch that train roll. I'll be doing another N-scale video soon, Well, I was actually considering dismantling the table and putting all the end scale tracks on the floor, just like with what I'm doing right here. Honestly, I feel like that would be better. I can have more space to use all the track that I want. And it would also, in my opinion, be easier to clean. I vacuum around here twice a week, and like I said, I use that little gray rectangle to clean the tracks, and we no longer have any problems of stalling or stopping. As you can see here, 4501 is running perfectly with her 10-car consist. I thought it would also be neat to have the Burlington Northern boxcar at the rear of the train. Just something about the Burlington Northern and Southern. I always like seeing those two together. Perhaps it's because they both use green on many of their trains, but I think it's a good combination. Also, I like how this car came with a Fred, or rear end of train device, which unfortunately replaced the caboose, but there's something really satisfying about seeing a red light flashing. We'll be setting up a different consist because I actually smelled something burning. I guess it's time for 4501 to go into maintenance, just like Emily did a while back. Speaking of Emily, I'm actually going to be getting her back soon. The repairs have finally been completed at Joe's Train Station, a wonderful shop in Hatboro, Pennsylvania. Okay, our next train for this segment will be run by another green steam engine, also another tank engine from the wonderful world of Thomas and Friends. Everyone, say hello to Oliver. Oliver will be pulling the exact same consist that we saw Rosie performing with in the new acquisitions video, where I showed off these two mail cars as well as 2 extra coaches I got for Emily's train. So now instead of 2 coaches, Emily has 4. And I thought it'd be fun to have some mail cars as well in case the passengers want to include their baggage in part of the trip as well, or maybe collect some mail. You know, you got to get some extra money here and there with mail. Let's get this show on the road and watch Oliver pull the 6-car train. A little bit more difficult than I anticipated, but he's off to a good start now. We're underway with the heavy train, or heavy for him at least. Rosie managed without any difficulty. I didn't honestly think I was going to be able to pull that off. I thought I had to give him a push. Unfortunately, it looks like he's slipping again. I'll probably have to prop my phone back onto part of the table to film Oliver while running the train again. Give me a sec here. I think now I'll give him a break. We'll have Rosie take over. Be nice to give her another run after what happened earlier in the video. Perhaps if he was only pulling the 2 mail cars, then we wouldn't have any difficulty. But better luck next time, my friend. We're going to let Rosie perform this, just like she did in the new acquisitions video. And just like that, she handles the train with ease. Now, I'm aware that the green coaches are supposed to be used for Emily because, you know, they're her coaches. But I kind of had Rosie or Duck in mind with this consist. Clearly, Emily's not strong enough to move all of these. I mean, Oliver has more drive wheels. If he can't do it, then obviously Emily can't. Now, I think it would be pretty cool, too, if Duck and Emily performed the doubleheader. Now, I know a lot of people hate Emily because apparently she replaced Duck all the way back in Season 8. But, I like to think of them as boyfriend-girlfriend. Now, kind of like Silver and Blaze from Sonic the Hedgehog. And, of course, steam engines require maintenance, and all the engines on Sodor are no exception. So I thought it'd be interesting if Duck had to go to repairs and Emily was simply filling in for him until he returned. Sinclair. I don't remember, but I think I have a tank car like that in A New Era, or some people like to call it Tane. T-A-N-E. A-N-E stands for New Era, where T stands for the series of video games Trains, with a Z. And I don't remember where I got this pink bow, but I think it's pretty cool how, you know, it's kind of the same shade as Rosie's pink, and once I found it, I knew I had to save it just for her. I'll stop her here, put the bow on her, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Alright, this ain't 100% perfect, but doesn't that look nice? Or, I was also considering doing this. You guys might prefer it like this, and honestly, I think it's easier to see her entire face, too. Like, you don't have to worry about part of the bow blocking her eye or other part of her face, you know? We have one last train to run, and while it's been fun running all these steam engines, it's time to go for diesel power. Our final train is going to be run by this wonderful locomotive, a Norfolk Western GP50 from Bachmann. I've had this engine for 4 years, and I didn't notice until just now this tiny little bell here at the end. That's pretty neat. It kind of makes sense, too, because even though the cab is right here and it gives you better visibility, Norfolk and Western enjoyed running them backwards. Or if they would like to designate this as the front. A lot of other railroads like doing that too with their Jeeps because it would give their crews better safety. So if you're running backwards and you're at a railroad crossing and a car just so happens to go across the tracks when it's not supposed to, you can keep the crews safe, or at least that's what they thought. It didn't exactly make much of a difference. These days, more drivers seem to be more alert and aware of what they're supposed to do and how to be safe at railroad crossings. So, hopefully it keeps going like that. I mean, there's still going to be a few incompetent nincompoops here and there, but for the most part, a good amount of drivers know how to be safe. We have 3 boxcars, a hopper, 3 more boxcars, and out of view, behind part of the table, a flat car. Ah, so that's why I was going slow. I didn't put the truck on the rails properly. I thought it was having some problems, but now that all the wheels are on the rails properly like they're supposed to, everything's okay now. I also have this N&W boxcar, courtesy of my friend Michael Firo, who may or may not be watching this video. I really should get a caboose to complement the boxcar and locomotive. Or maybe another N&W locomotive with this style logo, which I think was called the hamburger logo. Kind of looks like a hamburger too, you know, they got the top and bottom part of the circles, and the letters in the middle could be the actual hamburger itself. Something about blue has always been my favorite color. It could be because of Thomas the Tank Engine, or maybe that one cartoon from 1991, The Little Engine That Could. But I also like the blue engines that the NW had in the 60s. By 1972, however, Norfolk and Western decided to change their locomotives into what you currently see now. And it remained like that until the 1982 merger with the Southern Railway. And ever since then, it's been known as Norfolk Southern. It's actually the closest Class 1 to my railroad. It's the closest Class 1 railroad to my home. As you may have noticed with some of my footage from Phillipsburg, it's actually 10 miles away from where I live. I'm in a wonderful town called Milford. But the closest railroad in general is actually the Belvedere in Delaware, a short line that exchanges freight with Norfolk Southern. Part of their line is actually right across the street from the house from where I live. And even though that stretch of track is currently abandoned, the railroad is making attempts to restore it and something derailed. I think it's the hopper. It was actually this boxcar. I'm not sure what happened or why, but I'll look into it, see what the problem was. And all the other cars are on the tracks without any problem, so must be something wrong with either its wheels or the trucks holding the wheels. Or maybe the rest of the cars got lucky and went through a bad stretch of track without having their wheels get derailed. Again, I'll look into it. With that in mind, however, I think here would be a pretty appropriate place to end this video. Thanks for watching, and like I said, I will have another N-scale video coming out soon. I got a couple of passenger trains in mind, and I was thinking of using the GG1 as well. I haven't used that in a while. Thanks again for joining me, and hopefully I'll see you next time.